The 17th word. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. That which is on earth we have made as a glittering show for the earth, in order that we may test them as to which of them are best in conduct. Verily, what is on earth we shall make but as dust and dry soil. What is the life of this world but play and amusement? This world consists of two elevated stations and one brilliant addendum. The all-compassionate Creator, the munificent Provider, the all-wise Maker made this world in the form of a festival and celebration for the world of spirits and spirit beings, adorning it with the wondrous embroideries of all His names. He clothes each spirit, great or small, elevated or lowly, in a body decked out with senses, suitable to it and appropriate for benefiting from the innumerable, various good things and bounties in the festival. He gives each a corporeal being and sends it to the spectacle once. And He divides the festival, which is most extensive in regard to both time and space, into centuries, years, seasons, and even days, and their parts, and makes them all exalted festivals in the form of parades for all the groups of His creatures, with spirits and for His plant and vegetable artifacts. Especially the face of the earth in spring and summer, it is a series of festivals for the groups of small beings so glittering it draws the gazes of the spirit beings and angels and the dwellers of the heavens in the high levels of the world. For those who think and contemplate, it is a place for reflection so wonderful, the mind is powerless to describe it. But in the face of the manifestations of the divine names of most merciful and giver of life in this divine feast and dominical festival, the names of subduer and dealer of death appear with death and separation. And this is apparently unconformable with the all-embracing mercy of my mercy encompasses all things. However, in reality, there are several ways in which it is conformable, and one of these is as follows. After each group of beings has completed its term in the parade, and the desired results have been obtained from it, in a compassionate way, the most generous Maker and compassionate Creator makes most of them feel weariness and disgust with the world, and bestows on them a desire for rest and a longing to migrate to another world. And when they are to be discharged from their duties of life, He awakens in their spirits a compelling desire for their original home. Moreover, it is not far from the infinite mercy of the most merciful that just as He bestows the rank of martyrdom on a soldier who perishes on account of his duty while fighting, and rewards a sheep slaughtered as a sacrifice by giving it an eternal corporeal existence in the hereafter, and the rank of being a mount for its owner on the bridge of Sirat, like Burak, so too with other animals and beings with spirits who perish while performing the dominical duties peculiar to their natures and in obeying the divine commands, and who suffer severe distress, it is not unlikely that there should be for them in the inexhaustible treasuries of His mercy a sort of spiritual reward and kind of wage suitable to their capacities, and that they should not be unduly troubled at departing this world, indeed, that they should be pleased. None knows the unseen save God. However, although man, the noblest of beings with spirits, and the one who benefits most from the festivals with regard to both quality and quantity, is captivated by the world and absorbed in it as a work of mercy, the most merciful induces in him a state of mind whereby he feels disgust at the world and a longing to travel to the eternal realm. A person whose humanity is not plunged in misguidance profits from that state of mind and departs with a tranquil heart. Now, by way of example, we shall explain 5 of the aspects which produce that state of mind. The first, by showing with the season of old age the stamp of transcendence and decline on the beautiful and inviting things of this world and their bitter meaning, it makes a person feel disgust at the world and causes him to seek a permanent beloved in place of the transcendent. The second, since 99% of all the friends to whom a person is attached have departed this world and settled in another, impelled by his heartfelt love, it bestows on him a longing for the place they have gone to and makes him meet that and the appointed hour with joy. The third, by means of certain things, it makes a person realize the infinite weakness and impotence in man and understand how heavy are the burdens of life and responsibilities of living, and awakens in him a serious wish for rest and a sincere desire to go to another world. The fourth, through the light of belief, it shows to the heart of a believer that death is not execution, but a change of abode, that the grave is not the mouth of a dark well, but the door to light-filled worlds, and that, for all its glitter, the world is like a prison in relation to the hereafter. To be released from the prison of this world and enter the gardens of paradise, and pass from the troublesome turmoil of bodily life to the worlds of rest, and the arena where spirits soar, and to slip free from the vexatious notes of creatures, and go to the presence of the most merciful is a journey, indeed a happiness to be desired with 1,000 lives. The fifth, by informing a person who heeds the Qur'an about the knowledge of reality it contains, and through the light of reality, the world's true nature, it makes him realize that love for the world and attachment to it are quite meaningless. That is, it says the following to man and proves it. The world is a book of the eternally besought one. Its letters and words point not to themselves, but to the essence, attributes, and names of another, in which case learn its meaning and grasp it, but ignore its decorations, then go. The world is also a tillage, sow and reap your crop, and preserve it. Throw away the chaff, and give it no importance. The world is also a collection of mirrors which continuously pass on one after the other, so know the one who is manifest in them, see his lights, understand the manifestations of the names which appear in them, and love the one they signify. Cease your attachment for the fragments of glass which are doomed to be broken and perish. The world is also a traveling place of trade. So do your commerce and come, do not chase in vain the caravans which flee from you and pay you no attention. Do not weary yourself for nothing. The world is also a temporary exhibition. So look at it and take lessons. Pay attention not to its apparent, ugly face, but to its hidden, beautiful face which looks to the eternal all-beauteous one. Go for a pleasant and beneficial promenade, then return, and do not weep like a silly child at the disappearance of scenes displaying fine views and showing beautiful things, and do not be anxious. The world is also a guest house. So eat and drink within the limits permitted by the generous host who made it, and offer thanks. Act and behave within the bonds of his law. Then leave it without looking behind you and go. Do not interfere in it in a delirious or officious manner. Do not busy yourself for nothing with things which part from you and do not concern you. Do not attach yourself to passing things and drown. This fifth aspect shows the secrets in the world's inner face through apparent truths like this, and greatly lightens the parting from it. Indeed, to those who are aware, it makes parting desirable for them, and shows that there is a trace of mercy in everything and every aspect of it. The Qur'an indicates these 5 aspects, and its verses point to other particular aspects. Woe to that person who has no share of these 5 aspects. The second station of the 17th word. Note, the pieces in the second station resemble poetry, but they are not poetry. They were not put into verse intentionally. They rather took on that form to a degree due to the perfect order of the truths they express. Cry not out at misfortune, O wretch, come, trust in God. For know that crying out compounds the misfortune and is a great error. Finds misfortune's sender, and know it is a gift within gift and pleasure. So live crying out and offer thanks. Like the nightingale, smile through your tears. If you find him not, know the world is all pain within pain, transcends and loss. So why lament at a small misfortune, while upon you is a whirlpool of woe? Come trust in God. Trust in God. Love in misfortune's face, it too will love. As it loves, it will diminish, it will be changed and transformed. Know, O arrogant one, happiness in this world is in abandoning it. To know God is enough. Abandon the world, all things will be for you. To be arrogant is total loss. Whatever you do, all things will be against you. So, both states demand abandoning the world here. Abandoning the world is to regard it as God's property, with His permission in His name. If you want to do trade, it lies in making this fleeting life eternal. If you seek yourself, it is both rotten and without foundation. If you seek the world outside, the stamp of ephemerality is upon it. That means there is no value in taking it. The goods in the market are all rotten. So pass on, the sound goods are all lined up beyond it. A fruit of the black mulberry. The old site spoke this with the tongue of the new site under the blessed mulberry tree. The one I am addressing isn't Ziya Pasha, it is those enamored of Europe. The one speaking isn't my soul, it is my heart in the name of the students of the Qur'an. The previous words are all truth. Beware, don't lose course, don't exceed their bounds. Don't heed the ideas of Europe and deviate, or they will make you regret it. You see, the most enlightened of them, in Berlin's their standard bearer, exclaim in bewilderment, to whom can I complain? The Qur'an says, and I say too, I won't hold back. I lodge my complaint with him. I am not confused like you. I cry out to the true God. I don't slip away like you. I shout my cause from the ground to the skies. I don't flee like you. For all the Qur'an's cause is light upon light. I don't renege like you. In the Qur'an is truth and wisdom. I will prove it. I count as nothing hostile philosophy. In the criterion are diamond truths. I take them to myself, not sell them like you. I journey from creation to creator. I don't lose the way like you. I pass over torn paths. I don't tread on them like you. From the earth to the throne, I offer thanks. I don't neglect it like you. I look on death and the appointed hour as a friend. I am not frightened like you. I will enter the grave smiling, not trembling like you. I don't see it as a monster's mouth, a beast's lair, descending to nothingness like you. It joins me with my friends. I am not vexed at the grave like you. It is the door of mercy, gate of light, portal of truth. I am not discomforted by it. I won't retreat. Saying, in the name of God, I will knock on it. Note, I won't exclaim, alas, and flee. I will not look behind me nor feel terror. Saying, all praise be to God, I will lay down and find ease. I will suffer no trouble nor remain solitary. Saying, God is most great, I will hear the call to the resurrection and rise up. Note, I will hear the call of Israel on the dawn of the resurrection and declaring, God is most great, shall rise up. I won't hold back from the great gathering and congress of prayers. I won't hang back from the great gathering or the mighty mosque. I will feel no distress thanks to divine favor, the Qur'an's light, and the effulgence of belief. Not stopping, I will hasten, fly to the shade of the most merciful's throne. God willing, I won't go astray like you. A supplication which occurred to me in Persian. This supplication occurred to my heart in Persian and was therefore written in that language. It was first included in my published work, Hubab. O my sustainer, heedlessly, not trusting in you, but in my own power and will, I cast an eye over the 6 aspects, searching for a cure for my ills. Alas, I could find no cure for them, and I understood it was being said to me, are your ills not sufficient as cure for you? In heedlessness, I looked to pass time on my right, to find solace, but I saw that yesterday appeared to be my father's grave, and past time as the huge tomb of all my forebears. It fills me with horror rather than consolation. Note, belief shows that horrific vast grave to be a familiar and enlightened meeting and a gathering of friends. Then I looked to the future on the left, but again I could find no cure. For tomorrow appeared as my grave, and the future as the vast tomb of my contemporaries and the forthcoming generations. It afforded not a feeling of familiarity, but one of fright. Note, belief and the peace of belief shows that terrible huge grave to be a feast of the most merciful in delightful palaces of bliss. Since no good appeared from the left either, I looked at the present day, and I saw that it resembled a bier. It was bearing my desperately struggling corpse. Note, belief shows the bier to be a place of trade and a glittering guest house. Thus, I could find no cure from this aspect either, so I raised my head and looked at the top of the tree of my life. But I saw that its single fruit was my corpse. It was looking down on me from the tree top. Note, belief shows the tree's fruit to be not the corpse, but the worn-out home of my spirit, which will manifest eternal life and is destined for everlasting happiness, from which it has departed in order to travel among the stars. Despairing of that aspect too, I lowered my head. I looked and saw that the dust of my bones underfoot had mixed with the dust of my first creation. It afforded no cure, but added further pain to my ills. Note, belief shows the dust to be the door leading to mercy and a curtain before the halls of paradise. I turned away from that too and looked behind me, where I saw a transcendent world without foundation, revolving and departing in the valleys of nothingness and the darkness of non-existence. It was no salve for my ills, it rather added the poison of horror and fright. Note, belief shows the world revolving in darkness to consist of missives of the eternally besought one, and pages of divine inscriptions, which having completed their duties and expressed their meanings, have left their results in existence in their place. Since I could see no good in that either, I switched my gaze to before me. I saw that the door of the grave stood open at the end of my road. The highway leading to eternity beyond it struck my gaze from afar. Note, since belief shows the door of the grave to open onto the world of light and the road to lead to eternal happiness, it was both a salve for my ills and a cure. Thus, rather than receiving consolation and a feeling of familiarity, I felt only horror and fear at the 6 aspects. And apart from the faculty of will, I had nothing in my hand with which to withstand them and act in the face of them. Note, belief gives a document for relying on an infinite power in place of the power of choice, which is like the smallest indivisible particle. Indeed, belief itself is a document. But the human weapon called the faculty of will both lacks power and its range is short, and it is inaccurate. It cannot create, and apart from acquiring, can do nothing. Note, belief causes the faculty of will to be employed in God's name and makes it sufficient before everything it may face. Like when a soldier employs his insignificant strength on account of the state, he can perform deeds thousands of times greater than his own strength. It can neither penetrate the past nor discern the future, and in regard to my hopes and fears concerning these, was of no benefit. Note, belief takes its reins from the hand of the animal body and hands them over to the heart and the spirit, and may therefore penetrate the past and the future. For the sphere of life of the heart and spirit is broad. The arena of the faculty of will is brief, present time, and the passing present instant. Thus, despite all my needs and weakness, want and poverty, and my wretched state induced by the horrors and terrors arising from the 6 aspects, clearly written on the page of my being by the pen of power, and included in my nature were desires stretching to eternity and hopes spreading through eternity. Indeed, whatever there is in the world, there are samples of it in my being. I am connected to everything. It is for them that I am caused to work. The sphere of need stretches as far as the eye can see. In fact, wherever the imagination goes, the sphere of need extends that far. There is need there too. Whatever man lacks, he is in need of. That which he does not have, he needs. And what he lacks is endless. But then the extent of his power extends only as far as his short arm reaches. That means my wants and needs are as great as the world, whereas my capital is as infinitesimal as an indivisible particle. So, of what use is the faculty of will worth 2 pence in relation to my needs which encompass the world and can only be obtained for millions of liras? They cannot be bought with it and cannot be gained by it, in which case one has to search for another solution. The solution is this: to forego one's own will and leave matters to the divine will, to give up one's own power and strength, and seeking refuge in the power and strength of Almighty God, to adhere to true reliance on Him. O my Sustainer, since the way to be saved is this, I forego my own will in your way, and I give up my egotism. Then your grace may take me by the hand out of compassion for my impotence and weakness, and your mercy may take pity on my needs and indigence, and be a support for me, and open its door for me. Yes, whoever finds the boundless sea of mercy surely does not rely on his own mirage-like will and choice. He does not abandon mercy and have recourse to his will. Alas, we have been deceived. We suppose the life of this world to be constant, and so have lost everything. Yes, This passing life is but a sleep, it passes like a dream. This frail life flies like the wind and departs. Arrogant man who relies on himself and supposes he will live forever is doomed to die. He passes swiftly. The world, too, man's house, tumbles into the darkness of non-existence. Hopes do not last, while pains endure in the spirit. Since the reality is this, come, my wretched soul, which yearns for life, is enamored of the world, and afflicted with endless hopes and pains. Awake and come to your senses, as the firefly relies on its own minuscule light, and remains in the boundless darkness of the night, and since it does not rely on itself, the honeybee finds the sun of daytime, and gazes on its friends, the flowers, gilded with the sunlight. If you rely on yourself and your being and your ego, you will resemble the firefly. Whereas, if you sacrifice your transcendent being in the way of the Creator who gave it to you, you will find an unending light of existence. So, sacrifice it, for your being is a trust given to you for safekeeping. Moreover, it is His property, and it is He who bestowed it. So, do not scorn it, sacrifice it unhesitatingly. Sacrifice it so that it will be made permanent. For negation of a negation is an affirmation. That is, if non-being is not, there is being. If non-being is negated, existence comes into being. The all-generous Creator buys His own property from you and gives you the high price of paradise in return. Also, He looks after that property well for you and increases its value, and He will return it to you in both enduring and perfect form. O my soul, do not delay. Do this trade which is profitable in 5 respects, and be saved from 5 losses. Make a 5-fold profit all at once.